ॐ दक्षिणास्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशव वामन कृष्ण पाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुराः सुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः. So in the 12th chapter, Bhagwan Lord Krishna very clearly, for the sake of a very clear understanding of Arjuna and all of us, expressed or explained what is bhakti in 5 simple steps. He started with the highest level of bhakti, which is called as Akshara Upasana or Nirguna Bhakti, and then came down to the next 4 steps of what is Saguna Ishvara Upasana or Saguna Bhakti. What we should understand is Saguna Ishvara Upasana or Saguna Bhakti is a preparatory step. All the 4 steps of Saguna Ishvara Upasana are preparatory steps for us to really get into the final step of Akshara Upasana or Nirguna Upasana. And what we have to understand is at every step of bhakti, the bhakta receives the blessings of Ishvara by which he is able to go to the next step. And ultimately, the final step, what is called as the Nirguna Ishvara Upasana or Akshara Upasana or Jnana Yoga or Nirguna Brahma Vichara, all these mean the same. Ultimately, what is the blessing that I get there? It is ultimately the blessing of moksha. Moksha or seeing the abheda between me and Ishvara is the very blessing of that Nirguna Brahma Jnanam itself. So at every step, a bhakta is blessed. That is why Bhagwan said in the 10th chapter that to such a bhakta, Tesham, the who are all the time, all the time worshipping me, what do I give them? Buddhi yogam dadami. Buddhi yogam means what? The capacity to understand me tatvataya. And how do they understand me tatvataya? He said that I give them what? Jnana, the light of knowledge. Okay, that Atmajnanam, I myself give them the light of Atmajnanam, the knowledge that there is no difference between me and Ishvara. And this is the blessing that the bhakta gets at every step. And without the blessing of Ishvara, it is not possible for any bhakta to rise up from the first step up till the end. And also, self effort is very important. I have to be willing to come to the first step in the first place. If I'm not at all willing to come to the first step, there's no question of Bhagwan pulling us up from the Mrityu-rupi samsara sagara, which he said just a few verses ago in the 12th chapter. And with the 12th verse of the 12th chapter, the basic description of what is bhakti and what are the various stages that the bhakta can, how he can climb up the stages of bhakti and ultimately reach his final goal of moksha purushartha. That was explained by Bhagwan in a stepwise approach up till the 12th verse. And the 13th verse onwards, till the end of this chapter, what does Bhagwan talk about? Bhagwan talks about the swarupam or the lakshanas of this Akshara Upasaka who has gained, who has actually reached or attained or understood his final goal of moksha. So he is called a Jnani Bhakta. So according to Bhagwan, when Bhagwan talked about Artha Bhakta, Artharthi Bhakta, Jignasu Bhakta, Jnani Bhakta in the 7th chapter, he said Jnani Bhakta is the one who is the most dear to me. And who is a Jnani Bhakta? A Jnani Bhakta is the one who has completely, very clearly, Samyak Darshana Lakshanena seen that there is no Bheda between me and Ishvara. This Abheda Jnanam, Jiva Ishvara Abheda Jnanam is called as the very clarity of this knowledge, the clarity of perception, and this knowledge, this clear vision, Samyak Darshanam, is what once for all completely removes my ignorance and reveals my true nature to me. Who am I? Atma Swarupa. What is Bhagwan? Atma Swarupa. What is Jagat? Nothing but Bhagwan. So, what is Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara? What is it entirely? It is nothing but Abheda. There is no Bheda. There is only one thing. There is only one Atma in an individual manifesting with this Upadhi. In Bhagwan, in Ishvara, manifesting as the Samashti Upadhi called as the Jagat, but then there is absolutely no difference. It is the same consciousness which is the Jiva, which is the Ishvara, and which is Jagat. And once this knowledge is very clearly understood, Samyak Darshanam, then such a Jnani is called as a Jnani Bhakta, or such a person is also called as a Sthita Prajna, whose lakshanas were described very clearly from the second chapter onwards. In every chapter, minimum 2 or 3 verses of Sthita Prajna lakshanas were described by Bhagwan Krishna. Why? Sthita Prajna lakshanas are the sadhanas for a mumukshu. For a mumukshu, for a bhakta who is at various levels of bhakti, it is always this Sthita Prajna lakshanani which can be emulated by the mumukshu, which become the sadhanas for this mumukshu. And what are those lakshanas? What are the lakshanas of this Jnani Bhakta? What are the lakshanas, or what is the attitude, or what is the quality of mind, or how he interacts with the Jagat? What is all that this Jnani Bhakta has? What is the transformation that has happened by this knowledge in a Jnani Bhakta? How a Jnani Bhakta's mind has been transformed in such a way that he is a Jivan Mukta, living here in the same world where nothing has changed. The surroundings have not changed, the Jagat has not changed, nothing has changed. But there is a transformation in the attitude of this Jnani Bhakta, which makes his life absolutely very, very free from all confusion, fear, and sorrow. So we saw the 12th verse where we saw this, the 13th verse last time, Adveshta Sarvabhutanam, which I explained in great detail. Now we'll go directly to the next verse, the 14th verse of the 12th chapter. Santushta satatam yogi yatatma dhrida nishchayah mayyarpita mano buddhir yo madbhakta same priyah. So again, the characteristics, or how, what is the transformation that has happened in a Jnani Bhakta? What has this knowledge made a always complaining, grumbling, unhappy, dukhi, samsari individual to a sthita prajna, to a mukta purusha. What is this transformation that has happened? Now he says, Satatam santushtaha satatam yogi. This satatam word has to be joined or combined with both the words. Satatam santushtaha. Always contented. Santushtaha means what? Contentment. He does not depend on any contextual, his santushti or his tushti or his contentment is not contextual. It does not depend on, okay, today everything has happened according to what I want, so I'm santushta. No, it is not at all contextual. He's happy with himself, he's happy in himself. Atmani eva atmana tushtaha. He does not have to depend emotionally or psychologically on any other thing to give him that santushti. And Bhagwan Shankaracharya calls such a person as alam pratyaya. Utpanna alam pratyaya. Alam means what? Enough, sufficient. When you say, okay, I'm fine, I don't need anything more. When I can say no to something, because of my santushti, because of feeling that fulfillment, when I can very easily enough, no more, not necessary. This is what is called as alam pratyaya. Satatam, in all situations, he is that alam pratyaya. And also, normally, what do we depend upon for tushti or santushti or alam pratyaya? Most often it is based on my body should be okay, my mind should be okay. If everything is surrounding is okay, then only I am santushta. Here Bhagwan says, for this alam pratyaya or this enough buddhi or this santushti, it is independent of the situation of the body and the mind of a sthita prajna. The body may be actually having problems, diseases, pain, but that does not come in the way of his santushti. The mind may not be in the right frame, but that does not come in the way of the santushti of this jnani bhakta. He is satatam santushtaha. Satatam yogi. What is a yogi? Samahita chittaha, Bhagwan Shankaracharya says. What is the meaning of samahita chittaha? The one who is together. In the sense, his body, mind, sense complex is in all together. I mean, all the sense organs are not running here and there. The mind is not disturbed or vichalita. Such a person is a satatam yogi. And yatatma. Who is a yatatma? Yatatma is the one who has the sanyata bhava. Sanyata bhava means what? The one who has mastery over his indriyas and also his mind. Damanvita, shamanvita. Shama this person is a yatatma and dhrada nishchaya. What is this dhrada nishchaya? Dhrada nishchaya is a doubtless knowledge here. Nishchaya does not mean that I have made up my mind to do something. No, that is not the thing. Dhrada nishchaya means the one who is absolutely clear without any doubts, without any samshaya about the paramartha vastu or atma. Aham atma iti, aham brahmasmi iti, that abheda between atma and brahman, which is actually the paramarthika vishaya. In atma tattva vishaya, there is no doubt at all. Such a person is called as a dhrida nishchayaha. And what is the reason for this dhrida nishchaya? He says, Mai arpita mano buddhihi. What is the reason or the hetu for this person to be dhrida nishchayaha? Atma tattva vishaye dhrida nishchayaha. Dhrida jnanam, nishchaya jnanam. That is why, because of Mai arpita mano buddhi. That is the mind and buddhi of this bhakta is constantly, all the time, satatam, established in me. Therefore, such a bhakta, mad bhaktaha same priyaha. Because he has, removed that ajnanam of jiva ishvara bheda has been removed by this knowledge. And this knowledge has transformed him to understand that there is only one thing, ekam advayam atma brahma eva. There is nothing else other than this. If I see plurality in the Jagat, it is not the Paramarthika Satyam. It is not the absolute reality. Plurality or Dvaitam is only an experiential reality. It is not the absolute reality. He has understood this very clearly. This is his Dhrada Jnanam, Dhrada Nishchayaha, and such a Bhakta is dear to me. Why? Such a Bhakta is dear to me because he is Mama Atma Eva. He has understood that he is me, he is not different from me. Therefore, he is the dearest to me. In the 7th chapter, in the 17th verse, the same thing was talked about by Bhagwan, where he said, Priyo hi jnani naha atyartham aham sacha mama priyaha. The second line of the 17th verse of the 7th chapter, you see, the same meaning is given in this verse also. Then he goes to the next lakshanas, a few more. All of these till the 20th verse are nothing but the lakshanas of a sthita prajna or a jnani bhakta, or you can call him sthira prajna, a buddha, munihi. Many names are given, a samyak darshi. All these are the names that are given to a person who has understood the real meaning of the Upanishads, the real meaning of Bhagwan's teaching in Bhagavad Gita, and has the right vision, samyak darshanam, the clarity of vision. Next one, the 15th verse. What does Bhagwan say in the 15th verse? Yasmat no dvijate lokaha, lokan dvijate chayaha, harsha marsha bhayo dvega vegaihi, mukto yassa cha me priyaha. So, yasmat na udvijate lokaha. He does not disturb anybody in the Jagat around him. That means nobody is disturbed by him. Nobody is threatened by him anyway. He is not a competition to anybody in this Jagat. Therefore, he does not disturb anybody in the world. Okay. At the same time, lokatna udvijate. That means what? He doesn't get disturbed by anybody else. Now, normally my happiness or my peace of mind depends upon what? It depends upon how the other people are judging me, what the other people are talking about me, the fear that the others may not think of me in the right way. I may be censured by somebody. So, this fear of not being accepted by people around me, by the Jagat, is something which causes this kind of a disturbance in me. Okay. If anything is talked about me, of I hear of somebody saying anything about me, then I get that udvega. It is only because I want to, I depend upon the Jagat for my santushti. I depend upon the validation by the Jagat outside, by people outside, to tell me that you are great, you are nice, you are this, everything. But then here is a person who is not disturbed by whatever is happening in the Jagat, because the fear of other people not accepting him, or the need to have the acceptance of people for his peace of mind, is not there at all. Because what is he? He is the Sukha Swarupa Atma, Ananda Swarupa Atma, all the time abiding in this Ananda Swarupa Atma. Therefore, where is the question of not being accepted or being accepted by anybody? So, this kind of a thing is not there at all, where he gets disturbed by anything. Then he says that Harsha Marsha Bhaya Udvegaihi Muktaha. So, Harsha, Amarsha, Bhaya, Udvegaihi Muktaha. Now, what is the meaning of all this? So, he is free from Harsha, Amarsha, Bhaya, Udvega. Now, let us see what Harsha is. Harsha is that when I get something that I want and I desire, there is a great elation and excitement. Okay. He does not have that kind of a great elation or excitement, because he knows that whatever comes to him is given by Ishvara. It is not his creation, nor has he done anything about it to get it. It is Ishvara's sankalpa that something has to happen through this person. And whatever kirti he gets, whatever good things that come to him, he thanks Ishvara that, well, that is given by you. Everything that I have today is given by you, Hey Ishvara. Anything that I don't have today also is your grace. That is why in our prayers, we should always thank God for giving us what we have got and not giving us what we don't have. Because if Bhagwan had given us what we don't have and we are not able to handle it, just imagine what would have happened. Therefore, he's not elated. There is no undue elation, no undue excitement, no jumping around with excitement. Oh, this has happened, I've got this, I've got that, this happened to me, this good thing has happened. That is not there, because he sees that he is not the bhokta here at all. Everything is given, and I am neither the karta nor the bhokta. It is merely the prarabdha of this body mind sense complex that Ishvara has given certain things for the use of this body. So, no undue elation or excitement. Then, Amarshaha. Amarsha is a term which means that Parasya utkrishtam drishtva jayamana santapaha. You know, when I see other people progressing or when I see something good happening in other people, that santapa, asahishnuta, matsaryam, this also matsaryam, heartburn. I can't stand somebody else doing better, somebody else doing well. I can't stand that. So that is what is called as amarsha. It is another name for matsarya, jealousy, heartburn. There is no amarsha also. Why? Whatever good things are there in other people, he sees that also as Ishvara Kripa. He sees that also as the grace of Ishvara. He sees Ishvara's talent in anything, in anybody, anywhere. He does not expect that all good things should be in me. All talent should be me in me. That kind of an expectation is not there. He's able to appreciate talent and good things and vibhutis in anybody else because he knows that it is the very manifestation of Ishvara. Therefore, there is no intolerance or asahishnuta towards anybody else's abhyudaya or utkarsha. Utkarsha means something good happening to others. Somebody is progressing materially, say, or whatever way it is. Then there is no amarsha here, or there's no question of matsaryam. Then bhayaha, he's free from bhaya. What is the meaning of bhaya? We have to understand. Now, bhaya at the level of protecting oneself, you know, this is something which is inbuilt in us by Ishvara. Suppose even a jnani, if something is coming in front of him, a vehicle is coming and he's at the danger of getting injured or losing his life, that fear literally makes him run away. We are not talking about that fear. That fear to protect ourselves, the fear to, sort of sustain ourselves is also that fear which is given by Ishvara, which is programmed right from the time of birth itself. That is why when you see a small child, if you just, lift a small child up and bring it down very fast, the child literally shows signs of fear, the fear of falling. It is something which is absolutely inbuilt. Here we are not talking about that kind of a fear. Here, fearlessness means the fear, it's a psychological, emotional fear where one is fearful of getting overpowered or overwhelmed by other people. Somebody may be better than me in so many ways. I may be overpowered by somebody. I may be overwhelmed by somebody. And most important, fear of Ishvara itself. Many of us have fear of Ishvara. After all, Ishvara is, Abhaya Swarupa. Ishvara is benefactor to me. Why should I be afraid of Ishvara? God fearing. It's always said. It's only when you align yourself to adharma, you fear God. When you align yourself to Ishvara, bring Ishvara more and more into your life and align yourself to dharma, where is the question of fear? And for this Jnani Bhakta, who has always aligned himself with Ishvara and with dharma, may be it as a karma yogi, be it as a upasaka, as a Ekarupa Ishvara upasaka or Vishwarupa upasaka or Akshara upasaka. At every stage, he has partnered or Ishvara has partnered him. Where is the question of bhaya? There is no question of fear from the world, fear from Ishvara, fear from anything. In the form of a psychological and emotional fear is not there at all. So and next is what? Udvegaha. What is Udvegaha? Udvignata, what we already talked about here. That the one disturbance. He's not disturbed by his own body mind sense complex. He's not disturbed by the other body mind sense complexes. And least to say, he's not at all disturbed by Ishvara. Therefore, he is Udvegaihi Muktaha. Harsha, Amarsha, Bhaya, Udvegaihi Muktaha Saha, Sacha me Priyaha. Such a person is the dearest to me. He is the Jnani Bhakta. So, Sthita Prajna Lakshanani Mumukshoho Sadhanani. For a Mumukshu, these are the Lakshanas that one has to benchmark oneself, with at every step during my entire sadhana as a mumukshu. This is what I have to see. This is how I'm going to be when I am a Jivan Mukta. This is the transformation that is done by this knowledge. And what kind of a freedom this person will have while living itself. Totally free from confusion, free from ajnana, free from bhaya, free from udvega, free from, yo-yoing of harsha and amarsha, absolutely free, that kind of a, can't even imagine that kind of a life where one lives life like this. And it is possible. That is why Bhagwan Krishna is in every chapter giving us the examples of sthita prajna in various ways, because we can see it as a very much possibility, a shraddha, that it is possible. And I can also, when I get this samyak darshanam or jnanam, it is possible for me also to be transformed in this way. And in the next verse, in the 16th verse, Bhagwan says, Anapeksha shuchir dakshaha udasino gatavyathah sarvaramba parityagi yo madbhakta same priyaha. Same priyaha comes now in, up till the, 18th, 19th verse, same priyaha. He's the dearest to me because not different from me. That is what Bhagwan says in the last three words. Now, some more lakshanas of a jnani bhakta. Anapekshaha, willing to take anything as it comes. As it comes. Yadricha labha santushtaha. We saw that in the fourth chapter, I think 22nd verse. Yadricha labha santushtaha. Whatever comes, I accept it. Willingness to take anything and everything as it comes. Letting go, okay, of the past, letting go of things, which are always a source of disturbance, which have always been a source of disturbance, letting go of the anxiety and the fear of future, letting go of all the regrets and guilts and shame of the past. Anapekshaha, no apeksha from the past or from the future, or you can say no expectations, but more than expectations, here it is a willingness to take anything as it comes from the world, because this jnani is not away anywhere. He is a sannyasi internally. Such a bhakta may not be a ashrami sannyasi. He may not be an ashrama sannyasi. He may not leave everything and go away. Some may do that. But such a jnani bhakta can still be a very, very active grahastha, like Krishna has been, like so many Yajnavalkya has been, so many of our sthita prajnas in our scriptures, we see them as leading lives of grahasthas. Therefore, here there is no apeksha in the sense willingness to take anything as it comes. Then shuchihi, bahya shuchihi and antah shuchihi. Bahya shuchi means what? He's very careful about the shuchi or the cleanliness about his surroundings, his body. No clutter, no cluttering. Absolutely. Whatever he needs, it is there. When you don't need something, maybe there is somebody else who needs it. Let me have the capacity to share, no cluttering at all. And then Antaha Shuchi also. The mind is also uncluttered. What are the clutters in our mind? Raga, Dvesha, all these Harsha, Amarsha, Bhaya. All these are the things which are cluttering our minds. A dependence upon somebody else, something else, some on the Jagat, some object of the Jagat, dependence on some person, this Ahankara, Mamakara, all these things are the clutter, the cobwebs in our minds. And there is Antashuchi because I am free from all these things. And there is Bahya Shuchi also, where a person who has Antashuchi cannot really live in very, very dirty circumstances or surroundings. It is not possible. So, Shuchi at the level of Bahya Shaucham and Antara Shaucham. Then, Dakshaha. Dakshaha means what? The person is able to take appropriate actions in appropriate situations. That samarthyam is there, the dexterity, the kaushalam, the capacity to act, react adequately depending upon the situation. Such a person is called as Daksha. And how does Bhagwan Shankaracharya explain this Daksha in the Bhashyam? He says, Pratyutpanneshu karyeshu samarthyam. Pratyutpanneshu karyeshu. Whatever comes, that has to be done, not planned. Whatever has to be done, however it has to be dealt with, appropriateness, dealing with it with appropriate action, with the appropriate, you know, ideas, whatever is needed appropriately, that is what is called as a dakshata or dexterity. So, pratyutpanneshu karyeshu yathavat pratipattum samarthyam. That samarthyam, the capacity to act adequately in every situation, not acting out of emotional disturbance, not acting out of anxiety or tension, very coolly and calmly doing whatever is needed to be done. Then next one is udasinaha. Udasinaha means what? The one who never takes sides. Never take sides of anything. Politics is the last thing he will talk about. This one did like that, that one talked about like this, government did like that. Nothing. There is no taking sides. A mumukshu should first develop this habit of not taking sides of anything, of right and wrong and this and that. No, there is no question of taking sides because he understands that whenever there are two different opinions, it is mithya. Whenever there is some kind of a conflict, it is mithya. It is in, at the level of vyavahara prapancha. And what does it matter whose side you take? No side is the right side, no side is the wrong side. So he's apakshapati. Apakshapati means there is no pakshapata. He will never say, I'll support this, I'll support that. No question at all. He's apakshapati. Udasinaha. And gatavyataha. Gatavyataha means what? No sorrow. Absolutely. That, sorrow is not there. If there is something which comes, which is a sorrowful situation, he learns from what it is. But there is never a question of not accepting the sorrow. But Bhagwan Shankaracharya, Vyatha, here Acharya explains in the Bhasha, Gatha Vyato Gatha Bhayaha. Vyatha is expressed by Acharya here as Bhaya. Gata Bhaya, the fearless, absolutely fearless, which we saw in the previous verse. Fearless with regard to how I'm going to be accepted by the world, how the world is going to accept me, what I should do, what I should not do, how should I dance to the tune of other people to always make people happy. That is not there. There is no fear, psychological and emotional fear is not there at all. If something comes, fine. If nothing doesn't come, it doesn't matter. Even sorrow is not a source of any kind of a disturbance in him. So vyatha or sorrow also, it does not create any disturbance in. Then he says, Sarvarambha Parityagi. What is the meaning of Sarvarambha Parityagi? That means he does not begin any action or karma for the his personal sake. He does not start any action for gaining something material for his sake, for karma phala. Sarvarambha parityagi, arambha parityagi means what? He does not take up to any kind of a karma for personal fulfillment or to gain certain things which are going to personal phalas, for finite ends. For his individual finite ends, he does not take up any kind of a karyam or any kind of a karma. So, sarva arambha parityagi, no sankalpa in the form of I want this, therefore I will do this. I should get this, therefore I will do this karma. For the sake of this karma phala, I will do this karma. This kind of a sankalpa is not there. That I'm going to start something for the sake of a finite end or a material end or for a personal gain. That kind of a, sankalpa to start anything is not there, because his sankalpa now is Ishvara sankalpa. Whatever action he does is Ishvara sankalpa. Whatever action comes to him, his attitude is what? This action is to be done by this body mind sense complex out of Ishvara Sankalpa. This is not my action. Therefore, whatever karma phala is accrued, it is not my karma phala. Therefore, no ahankara, no mamakara, either in the karma or in the karma phala. Such a person is a sarvarambha parityagi. No binding kamas which propel him to do certain actions. Sarvarambha parityagi yaha madbhaktaha. This jnani bhakta, the one who is sarvarambha parityagi, sa me priyaha. Okay. Then the next one, he says, Yo na hrishyati na dveshti, na shochati na kankshati, shubha shubha parityagi, bhaktimanya same priyaha. This bhaktiman, this aksharopasaka, or this, jnani bhakta, this sthita prajna, me priyaha. He is dearest to me. Not that the other bhaktas are not dear to me. Artha bhaktas are also dear. Artharthi also dear. Jignasu bhaktas are all also dear to me. A karma yogi bhakta is also dear to me. Ekarupa Ishvara Upasaka bhakta is also dear to me. Vishwarupa bhakta is also dear to me. But this Akshara Upasaka, who has very clearly seen the abheda between me and him, he is the dearest to me because he happens to be myself. Okay. And what are the lakshanas of such a person? Yona hrishyati na dveshti. So here, harsham we saw, yo na hrishyati. That means what? Ishta prapto na hrishyati. When something happens according to what I want, there is really nothing like I want in this jnani. Whatever comes, again yadricha labha santushtya. So there is no question of elation or excitement. Na dveshti. When anishta happens or when he is faced by anishta, anishta means what? Unconducive situations, unhappy situations. When he is faced with such situation, he does not have any dvesha towards them. When he is surrounded or when he is facing a happy situation where everything is fine, he takes it as Ishvara's grace. No personal kind of a, thinking that, oh, because, I have got all this and because I deserve it, or no, nothing like that. Whenever he's faced with anything which is conducive, sukha, that does not really make him go through excitement and elation. At the same time, na dveshti, anishta praptau na shochati. Okay, anishta praptau na dveshti. That's what Bhagwan Shankaracharya says. Anishta praptihi means when some unconducive situation is there, there is no question of any kind of a dvesha. My God, I want to get rid of this. I can't stand this. I can't tolerate this. I must get rid of this. No, oh, this is something very nice. I should see that it doesn't go away from me. I should always have it. That also is not there. Na shochati. Na shochati means so shoka, where what? Priya viyoge, Bhagavan Shankaracharya says. Priya viyoge, there is no question of any kind of shoka. Na shochati. Because He understands that anything that belongs to the world, anything, any object which is there, does not belong to anybody, to me or you. Everything belongs to Bhagwan. If something is there with me right now, it has been given by Bhagwan, and I'm temporarily a custodian. I need to look after that. My body, my mind, my sense complexes, all my whatever talents or no talents that I have, all are given by whom? All are given by Bhagwan. Nothing belongs to me. Therefore, if something is taken away by Bhagwan, I don't have any sorrow regarding that. If Bhagwan has given me something as a gift, he has every right to take it away from me when I don't need it anymore or when I don't deserve it anymore. So Bhagwan can take away whatever I have anytime. There can be a viyoga from Ishta Vishaya. There can be a viyoga from a relative or a priya, somebody, a family member very close to me. There can be he or she can be taken away, but then there is no shoka, there is no dukkha. That means priya viyoge na shochati. Acharya says in this chapter, I said I'm using Bhagwan's bhashya in many places to very clearly understand what the meaning of these verses is. So he says that na dveshti na shochati na kankshati. There is no, he does not have any akanksha or kanksha in doing anything. See, when we do any, when you can apply this to sarvarambha parityagi also. Akanksha, doing something with some kind of an expectation, okay, for a particular result, for a finite result, or for an individual attainment of something. So this na kankshati, this akanksha for getting something, sarvarambha parityag, they're all very closely connected. You can't, they're very hairline difference between them. So we have to understand that whenever any karma is done, you know one thing is that I may do it with a swa ichha. That's called a swa ichha prarabdha. Okay, I want to do something swa ichhaya, and that is akanksha, swa akanksha or kanksha, that I desire to do something swa ichhaya. That's called swa ichha prarabdha, by which I do something, and whatever result I get what I want, what I don't want, whatever. Then there is something called as para ichha prarabdha. I may do something not because I want to do it, but because somebody else wants to do it. Okay. Now somebody, wants to clarify some doubt from me. Somebody wants me to teach something. Now I might not have planned to do that teaching but somebody wants me to teach something, or somebody asks for some doubt clearance. It is para ichha. And what am I doing now? I am entering into an action to fulfill the para ichha. This is what is called as the para ichha prarabdha. Then there is a third thing called as anichaya, anicha. Neither there is somebody wanting something from me, nor am I myself wanting to do something. Anichaya. That means it's Ishvara Sankalpa. There is something that has to be done by this body, mind, sense complex. And Ishvara Sankalpataya. Something comes to me which I have to do. That particular action at that time I have to do. But there is no personal akanksha here to start anything. And Shubha Ashubha Parityagi. What is the meaning of that? This jnani does not start any kind of an action to gain either punya or papa. You may ask, why should somebody start any action to gain papa? Normally, what we think, to get punya, to earn some merit, if I do this, if I do this, if I do this, I will, attain some punya, I will get some punya. But in the bargain, without my knowledge, in the place of punya, I may accrue some papa also. It is not in my hand. That means shubha shubha parityagi. I do not do, or I mean, this bhakta, jnani bhakta, this sthita prajna does not enter into or take up any actions for the sake of either acquiring punya or for avoiding papa, like prayashchitta karmas. Many times we are told, see, this is because of your prarabdha. In some life, something was done, so you do this prayashchitta karmas. That will be. Yes, there is nothing wrong. There is a basis for that, to some extent, yes. But for a jnani bhakta, that particular use of such karmas to avoid papa is gone, because all his papas and punyas, everything has all been cleared by this jnanam. Jnanagni dagdha karmani. All his karma phalas, papa, punya, everything has been actually burned. Therefore, for this jnani, it is not necessary. But yes, for us, sometimes we may need to do so many things. We may need to do prayaschitta karma. We may need to do, so many other types of karmas that are there, which are explained by the Veda Purva. But here we are talking in the context of a sthita prajna, of a jnani. For him, he does not have to do any kind of karmas like nitya karma or naimitika karmas or prayashchitta karmas or any other karmas for the sake of accumulating punya or avoiding papa. That is why in the Upanishads it is said that for such a person, ko vidhi, ko nishedha. Katopanishad says, for this jnani, where is the vidhi? The Veda Purva's vidhi does not apply to him. It applies to us, the Ajnanis, that this should be done, this should not be done. In this situation, this karma should be done. And when a lot of papa karmas have been done, prayashchitta karma in this way has to be done. It applies to an Ajnani. But for a Jnani, all these karmas, ko vidhi, ko nishedaha. There is no vidhi, there is no nishedaha. We should be very careful here. These are what are meant for a jnani. Therefore, just because it is said like this, I cannot apply everything to myself. I don't have to do anything at all. I don't have to do puja. I don't have to do this. I don't have. No, no, no. Everything that we are doing, our puja or our vidhi, whatever we are doing, japa, whatever we are doing to accrue punya, and whatever karmas we have to do to wash away our papas, that is very relevant to us and Ajnani. When we are Jnani Bhaktas, then all these vidhi and nishedha do not apply to the Jnani Bhakta. Please make it very clear that this is meant for a Jnani Bhakta and not for an Ajnani, not even for a Mumukshu. Even a mumukshu has to follow the karmas that have been told in the Veda Purva, and also those karmas which have been you know enjoined by our gurus. Whatever our guru parampara, our guru, whatever karmas are enjoined to us, we have to do. There is no question of escaping from that. Please make it very clear. This is only for a jnani bhakta. And such a bhakta, bhakti man yaha same priyaha. Then in the next verse, in the 18th verse, again the same aspect is talked about in a little different way. समशत्रौ च मित्रे च तथा मानापमानयोः शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु समः सङ्गविवर्जितः. Sama means what? No change in his attitude with regard to either sukha or dukha, to a mitra or to a shatru. See, a jnani does not have a shatru, but other people may consider this jnani as a shatru. So, towards anybody who consider him as a mitra or who consider him as a shatru, there is no change in the attitude. He looks at every one of them samachittataya, the same vritti, samachitta, same samavritti is there with regard to all kinds of people. And also, manapamanayoho samachittatvam, samaha, mana and apamana. Mana means what? Honor. Many of us expect, many people expect that other people should honor them. Other people should give them, importance when they go somewhere. Other people should bow down to them, do namaskara to them, give them a very very a place of whatever you call a very good place wherever it is. Wherever they go, they should be immediately recognized and they should be garlanded. All these things are expected by many people. It may happen, it may not happen. Okay, whatever is expected need not happen. There may be mana honoring. Sometimes, even when you're expecting this honor, there may be a dishonor. Nobody may bother about a person, about such a person. He may be totally ignored or neglected, and that causes a lot of heartburn in many people. So, samachittatvam, wherever, whenever, if it is a shatru or a mitra, or in honor or dishonor by other people. Shitoshna Sukha Dukkeshu. At the body level, the pairs of opposites. Shita, Ushna at the body level. Sukha, Dukkha, Mana, Apamana at the level of the mind. Whatever disturbance they can call, that he does not have. He takes everything. Yes, somebody honors me, fine, good. Somebody does not honor me or ignores me, neglects me, does not do namaskara to me, no problem at all. It does not matter. So there is absolutely no question of expecting any kind of honor or dishonor from other people. Samachittatvam towards all situations. Bodily opposites, pairs of opposites like Shita, Ushna, okay, about other people, the opposites in people around me, like Shatrus and Mitras, and the opposites in my mind only, the responses or reactions at Mana, Apamana, Sukha, Dukkha. There is no Sangha, there is no entanglement, no attachment or Sangha with any of these people. There is Samatvam, Samachittatvam. The same thing has been explained here in the next verse. Tulya ninda stutir mauni santushto yena kenachit aniketa sthiramatir bhaktiman me priyo naraha. This naraha, this bhakta, this human being who is my parama bhakta, he is, priya to me. Bhai, tulya ninda stutihi. If he is flattered also, if he is censured also, he does not bother. Mana, apamana, and ninda, stuti, they have very, very fine line of division. Mana, apamana is more at the kayika level, how you are honored and how you are treated. That is mana, apamana. Ninda, stuti means verbally. No, I may be, flattered sometime. I may be at the same time blamed sometime. No, that is what is called as the censuring that may happen. Ninda and stuti, they do not really affect this person. And his santushtaha yena kenachit. With whatever is there, he is santushtaha. Yena kenachit santushta. We saw that. It is santushti or tushti or his alam pratyaya buddhi, alam buddhi, okay, or his contentment is not contextual. In every situation, in every context, he's happy with whatever it is. Aniketaha. Aniketaha, Niketa means home or a house. Aniketa does not mean homeless. He does not have any kind of a, you know, entanglement or attachment as this is my house, this is my house, this is my thing, I have to be here. No, he's willing to be anywhere. He's willing to go anywhere as the prarabdha of his bodies. So he's not holding on to his house as this is my house and therefore I have to be here only. He is willing to be anywhere because the entire Jagat is nothing but his house only because it is Ishvara's dwelling. Every dwelling is his dwelling. There is no undue attachment with one small place as his dwelling. That is Aniketaha. That is that absence of minus in any dwelling, minus, not minus, minus in any dwelling place. And Sthiramatihi. Stiramati means what? Stiramati means always abiding in Atmaswarupa. Therefore, he is called as what? Jnananishtaha, Atmanishtaha, Brahmanishtaha. That means what? Constantly abiding where he does not slip from here to there. Constantly, all the time, abiding in the Atmaswarupa. And such a person is called as the Sthiramatihi. This is another name for Sthira Prajna, Sthita Prajna, the one who is constantly abiding in Atmaswarupam, Brahmaswarupam. That is what is called as Nishtha. Nitaram Sthiti. Nitaram Sthiti means what? A Sthiti or where there is no disturbance, constantly abiding in his Ananda Swarupa Atma. Such a person, a Sthiramatihi, me priyaha. And ultimately, the Upasamhara or conclusion of the 12th chapter, starting from, what is bhakti and what are the stages where a mumukshu finds it easy, stepwise approach to bhakti, and then Adveshta sarvabhutanam iti upakramya. What are the lakshanas of Sthita Prajna, which started from the 13th verse? Now they are going to end with this. So Bhagwan ends this with Ye tu dharmyamritamidam yathoktam paryupasate shraddhadhana mat parama bhaktastetiva me priyaha. These mat parama bhaktaha, the akshara upasakaha, that we saw at the highest level of bhakti, may ativa priya. Why? Because they are the ones who are absolutely closest to this moksha purushartha. They are not different from me. So these akshara upasakas, these akshara upasaka bhaktas, nirguna bhaktas are me priyaha. Why? They are shraddha dhanaha. With shraddha they have gone through all the stages, starting from karma phala tyaga and then offering the karmas to me, Ishvara, then holding one name and form Ekarupa as my alambana for upasana, and then holding on to my Vishwarupa as the alambana for their bhakti. From there, those who have come to the Akshara Upasana, Nirguna Bhakti, and who attain me in the form of non-difference between me and the Bhakta, such bhaktas are the closest and dear to me. And hey Arjuna, ye tu dharmyam amritamidam. Dharmyam here means the group of dharmas or the attributes that have been given to a Sthita Prajna in these last 7 verses. Dharmyam, that is what? The group of attitudes which were given to a Jnana Nishta. These group of attributes which are nothing but dharmyam amritam idam. This is actually the way to the values to be followed by every bhakta towards amritatvam. Amritatvam means what? Moksha prapti. Moksha prapti means what? Not getting something from somewhere, not reaching somewhere, seeing myself to be not different from Ishvara. Aham Brahma Asmi. Jiva Ishvara Abheda. That understanding, that clarity of vision, that is the Amritam Idam. To get this, to reach there, the values that have to be followed, the Dharmyam, okay, what they are, Dharmyam Amritam Idam Yathoktam. This group of attributes of a Sthita Prajna is your sadhana for towards Amritatvam. And who with Shraddha, they follow this. They do my upasana at any level. Let it be level 1 to 5. Level 1 to 5 is our way of explaining the levels. Not Bhagwan Krishna doesn't have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He starts from Akshara Upasakas or Nirguna Bhakta and comes down to Sarva Karma Phala Tyagi. So in all these levels, as a mumukshu, as a bhakta, Shraddha Dhana, with Shraddha, I follow, I imbibe these values of a Sthita Prajna and continuously engage myself in Upasana, starting from Saguna Ishvara Upasana up till, the highest Akshara Upasana. Ultimately, Mat Paraha, Mat Parama Bhaktaha te. They ultimately become Mat Parama Bhaktaha. They are not different from me. They are my Atma. I am their Atma. I am the Atma of everybody. Everybody is my Atma. The difference is an Ajnani does not know it. And this Akshara Upasaka, a Jnani Bhakta, a Jnana Nishtha Bhakta knows it. And with this, the 12th chapter, which is in 2 parts, for the first 12 verses talking about bhakti and also the very sadhana of how a bhakta should actually pull himself up to the level of jnana yoga or nirguna bhakti or akshara upasana, and what are the features, what are the attributes, what is the transformation this knowledge has done to this akshara upasaka in the form of all these lakshanas of a sthita prajna. This was the topic of the 12th chapter. ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे भक्तियोगो नाम द्वादशोऽध्यायः. So with this we have completed the second Shatka also. You know, Bhagavad Gita is divided into three groups of 6 chapters each. So the first Shatka, the second Shatka is also over. Next time I will give you a brief summary of the first Shatka and second Shatka, and then we'll go directly to the third Shatka. It's a milestone in our study where we are now going to the third Shatka, which is again the Atmajnana Pradhana topic. So with this we'll stop here. ॐ नन्दन्तु साधका सर्वे विनश्यन्तु विदूषकाः अवस्थाशाम्भवी मेस्तु प्रसन्नोऽस्तु गुरुः सदा सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय